Hey guys, welcome back. It's Halloween soon and the new season of The Walking Dead starts tonight, so I thought I'd do a little video to celebrate all things zombie.
But with a British twist.
And I'm gone.
Today, I'll be telling you my top 5 British zombies from television and film. Now, zombies are traditionally in American folklore and cinema. However, us Brits have made a good story here and there, and that's what I'll be celebrating today. This list was actually quite hard because for every good zombie film, there are a million others which are terrible, and British filmmakers are just as guilty. These can be arranged into 2 categories: those that had a budget and were trying, and those that didn't have a budget, so were actually trying harder. These are both terrible for the same reasons: terrible acting, terrible writing, and a lot of rip-offs. One common thing you'll find in most zombie films, good or bad, is the word homage. All filmmakers like to use it, or a nod to, when they are blatantly ripping off scenes from other, more superior zombie films. Now, watching a bad zombie film over Halloween can be fun, and I wouldn't want to discourage that. If you want to watch a terrible zombie film over Halloween, please feel free. Anyway, back to the point. Here are my top 5 British zombie stories. Number 5, In the Flesh. In the Flesh was a British television show that ran for 2 seasons, only having 9 episodes. Unlike most zombie stories that focus on the initial outbreak and uprising of zombies, In the Flesh focused on the aftermath. Set 4 years after the rising, life has gone back to normal in the UK, and the government have found a way to revert zombies back to their former human selves. This is where we meet Kieran, who is suffering from PDS, partially deceased syndrome, and with a little help of some makeup and contact lenses and a daily dose of zombie meds, he's allowed to go back to his parents and live a normal life. Of course, he doesn't get the warmest of receptions, not from his family and former friends, but also the residents of the Lancashire town, many of whom fought in the Pale Wars and lost their loved ones to the zombie apocalypse. Now, this only ran for 2 seasons, totaling 9 episodes, so it's really easy to binge watch. However, the only downside is that this show does suffer from classic season 2-itis, basically where the writers have told their story in the first series but don't actually know how to continue, so they just try to exaggerate or come up with something new. And yeah, it gets a little wonky. However, like a lot of Romero's zombie films, this is filled with social and political undertones, be it homophobia, racism, PTSD, suicide, depression, and so on. Sure, it's not as scary as most zombie stories. This one's more of a thinker than a doer. However, this one has some really good scenes and some great acting, and is a totally original idea, so I urge you to check it out. Number 4, Plague of the Zombies. When most people think of a classic zombie film, they think of George A. Romero's The Night of the Living Dead, which they have right to because it's a classic. However, on this side of the pond, we were creating a classic of our own. In a small Cornish village in 1860, young workers are dying of a mysterious illness. I wonder what this could be. The local doctor is stumped, and with the help of his friend, they try to find the cause. It's zombies. It's obviously zombies. It's called Plague of the Zombies. Now, the zombies in this film aren't the traditional flesh-eating zombies, but are proper old school. They're the original voodoo zombies. People and corpses who have been put under a curse from voodoo and turned into zombies. Their look and presence is exactly what you'd expect from a classic zombie film. By the way, this wasn't any small-time film company that made this movie. This was made by Hammer Film Productions, aka Hammer Horror, the home of some of the most influential and famous horror movies of all time. So yeah, even though this isn't as scary anymore, and Romero did do it slightly better, this is still a British classic, and I think we should celebrate it a lot more, so go check it out.
Number 3, 28 Days Later. Don't hit me! Now, I know a lot of people think that this should be the clear winner, but honestly, I was trying my hardest not to have it on my top 5, especially because it's not technically a zombie movie, it's just an infection outbreak. However, a lot of people do see it as a zombie film, and as making this list was hard enough, I thought screw it. Cillian Murphy stars as Jim, a young man who was just awoke from a coma to discover that zombies, or infected people, have taken over the world. Huh, what does that sound like? He then discovers other survivors, and together they form a plan to escape London and survive outside of the city. However, like most zombie movies, this doesn't go to plan. This film was groundbreaking. Not only was it a huge hit for Cillian Murphy and Danny Boyle, but it was a huge success for British horror in general. Every zombie or horror film that shortly followed was the next 28 days later. It was that big. In this film, the zombies were actually people infected with pure rage, and they introduced a terrifyingly new concept to the undead. They could now run. No longer were the zombies the slow, creeping monsters that we were all used to. These were fast, adding a new scare element to them, another layer of danger. If they were after you, you were already doomed, and this was so terrifying that it became the new zombie norm. It had some iconic scenes we'd never seen before, and was truly terrifying. And being classic Danny Boyle, it was not only gritty and terrifying, but it was really touching at the same time. It even had a fun sequel, and if I'm honest, I watched that opening scene a hell of a lot on YouTube. The only negatives I have with this film is that some of the imagery and directing choices are quite cheesy. I remember seeing them back in the day and thinking they were quite odd, and they haven't aged well at all. But overall, this is an amazing film. It was truly groundbreaking at the time, and there is a reason why most people think it should be my number one, but it isn't. But check it out.
Number 2. Shaun of the Dead. Don't hit me! Shaun of the Dead, the one that started it all. Not only did this film start the infamous Cornetto trilogy with Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, but it also started the new horror comedy resurgence. After this movie, everybody wanted to make a horror comedy film, either zombies or vampires or hillbillies, you name it, and everybody wanted to make a new zombie film or a new zombie comedy film, which explains all the crappy films that didn't make this list. Danny Dyer, legend. There were so many, there was a plethora. My cuppeth runneth over with the amount of crap zombie comedy movies that came out. Oh, this one has Samantha Mumba, you know it must be good.
He doesn't deserve you, Jess.
If you don't know the story now, Shaun is a young man who is leaving a tedious life and failing miserably. He hates his job, he has a strained relationship with his mum and stepdad, and is about to get dumped by his girlfriend. He is truly in a rut. That is, until a zombie apocalypse happens. When the zombie strike, Shaun has one plan, and it's pretty simple, so I'll let him explain.
Take car, go to Mum's, kill Phil, grab Liz, go to the Winchester, have a nice cold pint, and wait for all this to blow over.
That's the movie, and it's pretty simple, but pretty fucking awesome. It fires on all cylinders. It's a comedy. It's hilarious. It's a zombie movie. It's an amazing zombie movie. It's also a rom-com and is genuinely touching at times. Paying homage to the classic Romero movies, this film has a lot of action and a lot of in-jokes and homage that I mentioned earlier.
We're coming to get you, Barbara!
This is a superb film that came out of nowhere at the time and was so popular it was mentioned on The OC. The OC, you guys. It's so British as well, which adds to the charm and is a reason it makes number 2 on my list. So if it has everything and I find it a near perfect movie, then why isn't it number 1 on my list? Well, the simple reason is that it's just not scary enough. It is a romantic comedy with zombies. That was even the tagline of the poster. And although it is near perfect, my number 1 zombie British film has to have at least a few scares. A few genuine scares. So, what made the number 1? My ultimate British zombie story. Well, I'm sorry if I didn't go for an obvious choice, but here it is. Don't hate me too much. Number 1. Dead Set. Created by Black Mirror's Charlie Brooker, Dead Set is a story about a zombie apocalypse which happens during a Big Brother live eviction. Seriously. The show ran for 5 episodes on Channel 4 and was released on the days running up to Halloween. The show stars Jamie Winston as Kelly, a runner working on the very popular British television show Big Brother, when the zombie apocalypse hits. She then has to fight to survive along with others whilst the housemates are oblivious to the whole thing and still think they are actually on the show.
Is this being we're not on telly anymore?
I know what you're saying. Fucking Dead Set. Dead Set over Shaun of the Dead over 28 days later. Fucking Dead Set. Are you mad? Have you taken crazy pills? Yes, I have. Well, Dead Set had everything those films had. It had the horror, it had the comedy, and it had the proper Britishness of it all, but it had one more thing they didn't. It had 4 more episodes. The further episodes gave the story a chance to evolve. It gave a chance for the characters to be more fleshed out. And it had the Big Brother house. Now, Big Brother at the time was a huge show, and they actually had the celebrities, the stars of the show, play themselves in the zombie apocalypse. It was fun as fuck. The host, Davina McCall, gets her throat ripped up pretty much straight away and ends up becoming a zombie. That's amazing. What's not to like? Unlike Shaun of the Dead, the comedy here isn't played for laughs. It's just a real life situation with real humour. So when people would make a joke or when you would say something inappropriate, that's the humour in this, and it's very British. This is the perfect amalgamation of both films. If you wanted Shaun of the Dead and 28 Days Later to have a baby, this is that baby, and it's the cutest fucking baby there is. The story was pretty much Dawn of the Dead. We're trapped in this space. How can we survive and live? But it's the Big Brother house. There were only 5 episodes, so you can easily blitz this on Halloween night. It's just as scary, just as funny, just as chilling, just as frustrating, and just as British as any of these zombie films. So that makes Dead Set my #1 British zombie story. So that's it, my top 5 British zombie stories. But what did you think? Let me know in the comments below. If you could, give this video a little thumbs up, like and a share with your friends. And if you want to, please click subscribe. My name's MikesRambles, aka Fester, and I'll see you next time. Ciao for now.
And I'm gone.